Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the show. Oh boy, what a week. What a week it has been. And what a weekend. It reminds me of the early days in Trump's presidency. Um Crazy stuff happened on the weekends back in those days, the olden days, which is like what, just a few months ago? Well, we're back to big things happening again on the weekend and oh boy, we had a pretty big event that happened. It happened yesterday. So I'm sure that you all know this by now, but the U.S. has they've stepped in on this Iran deal, and they have dropped a few of their bunker busting bombs on a few sites in Iran. So the goal, of course, is to basically remove Iran's capability to enrich uranium. Now, here's the thing. Everybody and their dog, everybody and their dog kind of suspected the U.S. was going to do this. We weren't sure when. Even Trump during the week said it'll probably be within 2 weeks. Well, yeah, 2 days is within 2 weeks, but nonetheless, it's happened. It's happened. So the fact that everybody kind of knew it was going to happen, it kind of adds credence to. I read a few things online where Israel, so where Iran was saying, we knew it was coming. We moved our uranium. We moved our enriched uranium. You didn't get any of it. Hard to say, but well, I give it a little bit of credence only because it was not a surprise that this was coming. Now, we're not gonna we're not gonna get too deep into the politics of what's gonna go on, but as investors, what is this going to do to the market? What are we going to see on Monday? Well, tomorrow. Obviously, I think we're going to see a jump in the price of oil. So that's definitely any of your big stocks like your Canadian natural resources are definitely probably going up tomorrow. So we're going to see that. We could see a little bit of red in a lot of other areas. So there's going to be a little bit of fear because this is an escalation. This is a big escalation. Now, the next step, I guess, and I'm going to call this, the United States has said that this is not a war. They have clearly stated that this was an isolated little operation. Now there's time for peace. Now there's time that we can wait things out. See if we can get some kind of a peaceful resolution over there. Well, I don't know if that's possible. Iran will, of course, well, they have to reply some way, shape, or form. Now I know that I know at least one of the ministers over there in Iran is already heading off to Russia to have a meeting with them. So, Russia's their friend. I don't think Russia's going to get too involved in it. But the big thing I think now for us to focus on is what are they going to do with the Strait of Hormuz or Hormuz? I can never say that straight. I can never say it correctly. That's that strait. So the Strait of Hormuz, it handles about 20% of the world's oil goes through that strait, and that could be a move for Iran to make. Iran could shut that strait completely down. Already, I know the U.S. has been reaching out to Iran saying, don't do it. Don't do it. But it could happen. And if that happens, oh boy, then whatever jump we see tomorrow in the price of oil, it'll be small compared to if they shut down the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, we're talking supply chain level event. So we got a lot happening with this war. We got a lot happening, this almost war. Obviously, Israel is still going at it. Israel's still going at it. And they don't want the U.S. to just come in, drop their big bombs and leave. They're hoping that the U.S. gets a little bit more involved. Now, you might be thinking, well, they got the bombers and everything there now. Well, no, they don't. They're on their way back to the States. So these bombers, this B-2 bomber, Well, there was more than one, but they actually left from pretty much the middle of the United States and they flew all the way to Iran. There was plenty of refueling on the way, multiple refuelings actually. Um, and now they're flying back. Of course, they're a little bit lighter flying back, so maybe they'll be a bit more fuel efficient. But yeah, this is what's happened. This is all going to be craziness. This is going to be a very interesting week on the market. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. It will be an interesting week. It'll be something to watch. It'll be interesting to see what kind of a retaliation, because, we've heard a lot of people from Iran going on about a lot of different things. I know the media in Iran has basically been saying all Americans are now targets. But, what is the government going to do? If the government thinks this is just a one and done from the US, will they cut them some slack? Will they sort of hold back? All of these are going to be little things that factor into where this is all going. And interestingly enough, guys, we had our channel members live stream on Thursday night. And we were talking about this. We were laying down, all of the different scenarios that this could go into. I will say we had three major scenarios, and one of them is already off the table. The first one is off the table because the U.S. got involved. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all turns out. I'm going to be watching. I'm sure you guys are going to be watching. We're going to have, I think our Wednesday show, our Wednesday market close is going to be very, very interesting as we sort of see what's going on. And here's the funny thing. Normally, I have all my news stories ready for this show on Friday. I got them ready. I got the graphics. I'm ready to go. But of course, I had to make new graphics. I had to make that the bomber graphic, and had to pull together and read a little bit more on some information. But that's where we're heading, guys. We're going to see how things are going to react. Now, keep in mind, too, that when we're looking at oil, so what we're looking at is we're probably looking at oil going up. We're looking at gold going up. Pay attention to defensive stocks. So, even things like Palantir or that, what was it? Was it FGS? There's a few different ones. Watch some of these stocks. I have a feeling we're going to see some interesting movement. And then here's the thing. I think the market will initially, red-wise Monday, tomorrow, we'll probably have a pretty good red day. There'll probably be some really good buy the dip opportunities. Then I think we'll start to recover unless something else happens. But as people have had a chance to digest it, I think the market will start to recover. I think by the end of the week, the market should be fine, provided, and this is all a big provision here, providing nothing else happens, that we don't get any further escalations, that the U.S. sort of stands back down. I mean, there's probably going to be some big talk from Donald Trump. He does that. His unconditional surrender truths. He does that. He's going to continue to do that. He's not going to change. If anything, he's going to talk bigger. He's going to talk bigger and badder. But we'll see how the week goes. We're going to see how the week goes. Holy banana bread. All right, let's jump into chat. Oh boy. All right, we got Jonathan in the house first. Am I still late for World War III? You are not. You're not. It's technically not World War III yet, but there's if you ever get, like, I get a lot of things in my feed over on YouTube, and sometimes I get some of these ones like infographic type shows that sort of say, here's how World War III will start, and some of them actually start with the U.S. going into Iran. But I think we're fine. I don't think we're having World War III yet, hopefully. Bismarcky in the house with a happy Sunday, everybody. And we got Kiev and Cass with an afternoon gang. Mary is in the house. So guys, be sure to hit that like button because Mary's our official captain of the like button. And while you guys are hitting the like button, that means I get my first sip of coffee for the show. Very, very good. Bismarcky, is bullish on oil. Not a bad move. Not a bad move. Now, I will say, here's one of these other considerations I have too for oil is as the market, as not the market per se, but oil's going to go up as long as the fear and as long as the escalation. But if it does look like we're starting to get a resolution, oil's going to come back down because right now this is all powered by fear. Nothing has actually changed. Like nothing has actually been disrupted. We still have the same amount of oil today in supply as we had a week ago. Well, not the exact same. There's going to be a slight change, but relatively speaking, we still have the same amount of oil. So this is all fear driven at this point. So if you're somebody who does play oil, you want to be watching. You want to be watching how things go, especially the geopolitics on this one. Because as I said, we got a few things that could cause oil to absolutely skyrocket, like the Strait of Hormuz. If that gets shut down, we're in trouble. Well, we're not in trouble, but oil's going to go up, and it's not going to be good for the supply chain. Now, mind you, if oil gets pushed up that high, and we're talking, if they completely shut down the Strait of Hormuz, we could definitely see oil go back above $100 a barrel. A worst case scenario, it could even go as high as $150 a barrel. Worst case. So if you think about that, that's going to cause inflation. That will impact us inflation-wise. Inflation will, of course, go up because, well, all of the goods that are being transported by oil. So it's kind of interesting. We still, of course, have everything going on with tariffs and everything else, and we got lots to talk about in the news today. This is one of these days. Normally we have 7 stories. Because of this, we have 8. So what can I say? Kevin Katz is saying crypto is now under 100,000 again. So yes, crypto took a little bit of a hit. As we, well, let me actually show you. Let me show you. Bang. Here is crypto right now. Look at this. Look at this. Bitcoin down 3.86%. Ethereum absolutely getting the banana bread kicked out of it. Look at this, down 10.49%. XRP down 6.48. Solana down 7.37. Wow, that's just absolutely bonkers. But yeah, no, Bitcoin, Ethereum definitely taking a huge hit. And if we look over here for a second, let's just take a gander here. So right now, this is what's really interesting. Oil right now is still kind of flat. So we don't yet have any movement in oil, even though this has happened. And same idea with gold, kind of flat right now. But once the market's open tomorrow, I'm expecting to see movement in both of them for sure. All right. Rory says, hi, everyone. Wow, looking at HOD trading at 453. Yes, well, HOD, it's going to, HOD, of course, is a inverse oil ETF. So once things start to look good again, so what if it looks like we actually have a resolution, and it looks like the conflict is over, that's the time if you're not adverse to risk, that might be the time to be looking at something like HOD, and that price might come down even further. So there could be some good money in HOD for sure. Bismarcky says, time to buy some Ethereum and XRP. Yeah, absolutely. We're getting a good dip right now in crypto. Crypto will be fine on the other side of this. Actually, crypto will probably be fine by the end of the week. So yeah, that's not a bad thing at all, for sure. Oh boy. All right. Now, let's actually get to our normal top story of the day. Let me take a look here. Here we go. We had retail stuff dropped this week. So retail sales, we actually got it for both Canada and the United States. So interestingly enough, April Canada's retail sales month over month, we were up 0.3%. That's It sounds good, but it's not as good as we had thought. It was estimated that we were going to be up 0.4%, so we did come in a little bit soft. A matter of last month, though, we were at up 0.8%. So that translates dollar wise, $70.1 billion spent in retail in in April. So far, May coming up. The preliminary on that is looking like May is going to be negative 1.1%. And interestingly enough, we thought May was going to be around 0.3%. So May's looking to be pretty bad on our retail overall. Year over year, when we look at the retail, we are currently sitting at 5%, which is actually better than estimated. We thought we were going to do worse. Earlier in the year, we thought a lot it was going to be worse. So the estimate was 3.4%. So everything is looking pretty snazzy for now. Now, obviously, from the little inflatable guy at the used car sales lot, you can kind of get an idea that car sales, so both used and new cars, they really help these numbers this time around. So for new cars were up 2.9%, 2.1% for used cars, and of course, all those moto parts. We need the moto parts too. They were up 1.9%. Now, some other areas did okay. So sporting goods, hobbies, musical instrument, book, and miscellaneous retailers rose 1%. Furniture, home furnishings, electronics, appliances, those rose 0.8%. But somebody has to take a hit. And this time around, the big losers was, clothing. Clothing sales and clothing retail, accessories, luggage. They were that sector down by 2.2%. So, what can you say? I guess people just aren't buying a lot of clothes. It's kind of too hot here to be buying clothes. I don't know about you guys, but where I'm at right now in Ottawa, right now we've got a humidityindex of 40. Tomorrow we're going up to 46. So what can I say? And just very briefly, the U.S. also had their retail sales come out. They were down in May by 0.9%. They did expect to go down. They were only expected to be down by down by 0.1%. So, oh boy, it's this is going to be the tariff thing. I think most of the pre-buying for tariffs already done. Not a lot of people rushing out to buy stuff right now. So until the tariffs are done, and if we do get this deal, the supposed deal, then yeah, these are going to be suffering. These are absolutely just going to be sectors that suffer a big time. All right. Muggsy says, hasn't Iran's parliament voted to close the Strait of Hormuz? I hadn't heard if they had. If they had, I missed it. But that will be bad. That will be bad for the supply chain. And as I said, it'll be good for the price of oil, but it'll be bad for the supply chain. It'll be bad for inflation. Oh boy. What can we do? Dennis says, what's the best defense stock to be in? It's a good question. It is a good question. It really depends on your time frame, Dennis. So right now, for example, in the buildup to all of this, the best stock to have been into was gold. Was gold. I mean, if you look at something like London Gold, they absolutely exploded this year. I mean, big time exploded. Now, I think oil, something like even just a simple oil ETF right now, something like XEG, not a bad place to be sitting some cash while we're on the way up. But once again, and this is the thing, if you're just looking to make some money right now, you want to be paying attention though. So if your plan is to, I'm going to just jump into XCG and ride it up. Well, yeah, you want to ride it up, but once those tensions start to die, then you probably want to move out because the prices are going to come back down on a lot of these defensive stocks. Oh, excuse me. Got a frog. But yeah, gold Gold is one that is supposed to remain pretty stable and pretty strong. Like most of the big banks are expecting gold to be at all-time highs by the end of the year. So I would say gold is not a bad thing. So either you can go with an individual stock. Like I know I like London Gold, but something like a GLCC, that's a gold ETF. Now that one does use covered calls, so you are getting income in that as well. So there's a lot of different things, a lot of different choices that you can look at for that. Now, other defensive stocks is anything like if you're looking just to be defense and you're not looking to make money, then of course utilities. Utilities are still a good defensive stock. They, whether or not there's tension over in the Middle East, we still need our power. That gives them a whole bunch of that gives them a lot of way. Also, your consumer staples, I still consider them defensive. But right now, like the big ones that you have a chance, and this is what I'm saying, I say you have a chance to ride them up, but they're going to come back down on the other side. So these are ones that I think are more playable, are once again, oil, gold, things like that. I think for the next little while as well, any kind of defense stock, like not defensive, but defense, like aerospace. I think MAG, I believe, is a good aerospace one. I think they're going to see a lot of influx as more and more things, and this is pushing even away from the war, though the war still emphasizes those defensive stocks. But I think as Canada, for example, we've committed to increase our defense spending to 2%. And Trump already wants to push a lot of the world. He would love to see a NATO all up at 5%, and that would be really good for that sector as well. So just something to keep in mind. All right. Let's see here. Lisa says, hello, everyone. How you all handling the heat wave? It's hot. It is hot. So yeah, like I said, a 40 humididex here today, 46 tomorrow. Yeah, I last I looked, I think Jill was making popsicles for tomorrow, homemade popsicles. So what can you do? It's going to be hot. It is going to be very, very hot. I think most of Ontario and a good chunk of Quebec is getting this. They're calling it a ring of fire. It's a meteorological term. It just has to do with the way this heat dome sort of rises up over us. Yeah, it's going to be pretty bad. Rory says, no heat wave here, lots of rain and 15. Oh my gosh, Rory. Some of us might be jealous. We might be a little jealous. Rain's done, but it's 14 now. Okay. Oh, it's getting colder, Rory. It's getting colder. Yes, Rory, of course, being in the West. The East, it's all hot. It's very rare. Well, it's not that rare. Sometimes in the summer we'll get a heat wave from coast to coast, but usually not. Usually pretty rare. All right, guys, let's jump into our next story. So the DST, that's that digital sales tax. It is moving forward. Now, as you guys know, that is the tax that's at the kind of a controversy for Trump, and part of the reason that the changes to withholding tax, retaliation for this tax. So we are, according to the government, we will be proceeding with the digital service tax. Now, the first payments, oh boy, they're due June 30th. Despite all the opposition from Trump, the bills are due, and they're big bills. The reason they're big bills is that the first payments that we're demanding, it's retroactive to January 1st of 2022. So this first bill, it's about a $2 billion bill, not to one company, but split up amongst basically all the big US tech companies. So what this tax does is it applies a 3% levy on revenue from Canadian users from all the major US tech companies. So, Amazon, Google, Meta, Uber, and even Airbnb. So yeah, they want these companies to pay. And as I said, retroactive to January 1st, 2022. So we're expecting $2 billion to be paid. Well, we're expecting it. Who knows if they're going to pay it? We'll see. Now, there is, of course, concern that by pushing forward with this, with the DST, that we could be escalating some of those U.S.-Canada trade tensions. So that, like I said, that DST is one of those. It's one. Well, it's kind of the main sticking point in the current negotiations to end the trade war that was launched back in March. So keeping now, although I'm going to throw another kind of a different shot here, but keeping that DST in place, it also does provide Ottawa with some bargaining power. So, if they're willing to bargain with it, that could be good. It could be, when we finally get some talks going on the trade deal. So it could be absolutely it's bargaining power in talks for broader economic and security a security deal. So what can I say? Now the U.S. I think right now there won't be a deal unless we scrap it. I think the U.S. is absolutely demanding it. So we need to sort of, if we're gonna scrap it, we got to use it to our advantage. Now, right now, so the DST, one of the other interesting things too is it's not all U.S. companies, all tech companies. They need to be making more than $20 million from Canadians. Not it doesn't matter how if they make a ton of money in the U.S. but they make next to nothing from Canadians, they're fine. So if they're making less than 20 million from Canadians, they're exempt from this tax. So it is all the big ones that it is hitting. We'll have to see how this is going to all roll out because, as you guys know, Carney and Trump have set that 30-day target to reach a new deal, even though, well, we don't have any outcome yet. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. All right. Genoa says, just played a soccer game in the heat. Never again. Yes. Actually, here's a funny, I got a little small tangent. When I spent a summer in Florida and used to play a lot of soccer there. And we're talking, Florida, summer, humidity, it's as bad as it can be. But what we used to do when we'd play soccer is we would freeze a couple of bottles of water. Obviously, you freeze it with the cap off so that, and you don't fill the bottles all the way to the top because, water expands as it freezes. But we used to freeze these bottles and we'd bring all the frozen bottles with us. That way we'd always have some ice cold water on the side. Now, and my position when we played was I usually was acting as a striker. So, yeah, it used to be rough. It used to be rough, but we did it. But I feel your pain. Anyway, that's what it goes back to. All right, Muggsy says, did some checking on the net. The decision to close the strait is not yet final. Okay, that's the last thing that I had heard. Perfect. Iran's Supreme National Security Council must make the final decision. Okay, good. Whew. So we'll see how that's going to happen. But it sounds to me like it's probably going to be a meeting that happens sooner than later. All right. Jack is in the house with a good afternoon. And praying for Iran to screw the United States of Israel. Oh, boy. Well, we'll see. We're going to see what happens. MC is in the house with a good afternoon. Hello, MC. Enjoying the heat over there in Montreal. Actually, we got quite a few people, regulars here are from Montreal. We got MC. I think Lisa's close to Montreal. JJ, the mod, he's from Montreal. We got a lot. Yeah, we got a lot of Montrealers. I love Montrealers. Montreal is my amps. If I had to pick one city as my favorite city in Canada, Montreal gets it. I love Montreal. Great city. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the airlines. So the Canadian Competition Bureau this week, they've made some recommendations to Ottawa. They want Ottawa to open the Canadian skies to foreign-owned travel. So they're claiming that the current rules are simply too strict and have as a result eliminated most of the competition for Air Canada and WestJet. So we kind of got a duopoly here, as you got WestJet, you got Air Canada. That's pretty much it. And most little companies, they kind of get eaten up pretty fast, or they just don't survive. So what the competition board is suggesting is that we allow foreign-owned domestic flights as long as they only fly within Canada. So currently, the way it's set up right now, if you're a foreign investor, you are allowed up to 49% of a Canadian airline. Now, that's in total. That's not just one person. If you're just a single investor, you're only allowed up to 25%, no more. And all investors in one particular airline can only go up to 49 cents. So, because of that, and this is kind of where they're arguing, is that when you get a new startup in an airline startup in Canada, they have trouble getting funding, and not the fact that they can't take a whole bunch of money from the states makes it really, really hard, because they got to get 51% of that funding from Canadians, and that can be a little bit harder. So that's kind of part of the gist of what they're recommending. Now, they also said that right now, another problem with the startups and with the airlines in general is that the government has a lot of high taxes on them, and a lot of fees. That's one of the big issues. A lot of fees, a lot of taxes. Now, here's the kind of the gist of what are the benefits if they were to open this up, allow more foreign investment, maybe reduce a few fees at the same time. Basically, the Competition Bureau is pointing out that by just adding one more carrier to a route, any of the existing routes that exist, it would result in an average price reduction of about 9%. So imagine if you added a few. We'll see if we could get airfare down a little bit. Airfare is absolutely crazy in Canada. I used to know somebody in Nova Scotia that they would head down to Yarmouth and take the ferry. There used to be a ferry that would go over to Maine, and then they would fly from Maine to like the other side of the country, and then go back up into Canada, because I think they're going to like to BC. So yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Now, it is, even though the Competition Bureau has made these recommendations, honestly, it's kind of unlikely that the government will change the rules, as well. They have been pushing across the board, not just in airlines, but in businesses right across Canada. They've been pushing for less foreign ownership, opposed to increasing it. So this could be one where there may not be a solution. We may be forced to continue with our duopoly. All right. Let's see here. Mary says, like button, people, please. Oh God, you guys have gotten Mary on her bad side. Oh, you better hit that button. I'll have a drink here. Just turn it blue. Hit the. I even mentioned this the other day. Why do they call it the like button? I think we should start calling it the thumb button. It's a thumb. Oh gosh, that is so good. All right. Oh, time for the trade war front lines. So, as you guys know, we had the G7 this week. Now, Donald Trump was only there for the day one because, he had to leave. He had to leave because he had plans to do a few things with, well, you guys know what he was planning to do. This is what he was planning. He was planning this. Yep. So, Donald Trump left a day early, of course. Now, Carney did announce on Thursday that, sorry, I was going to say, I was thinking of where I was going with that, and then I jumped into something else. But actually, before I do that, there was the whole talk as well, of course, of 30 days. 30 days basically meaning that they will have a trade deal within 30 days. So this is going to be interesting to see. Now, those 30 days end, I believe, on July 21st. So that's when we should have this trade deal, supposedly. So taking that in mind, Carney was talking as well this week, I think on Thursday, about the counter tariffs to those, because as you know, Last week, the U.S. doubled the tariffs on steel and aluminum. So he said he's going to wait on the counter tariffs until July 21st, when we're supposed to have a trade deal. So depending on what happens on that date, that will of course impact what these counter tariffs will look like, or whether there'll even be counter tariffs. Like if they have a trade deal and and all the tariffs on steel and aluminum are gone, then yeah, you probably wouldn't have a big problem. So that's kind of interesting. Now, in addition to that, he did announce that they're going to be limiting foreign steel imports. So the whole idea is sort of saying, we'll take a little less foreign steel. You guys can get your steel from Canada. Get your own steel from Canada. So use locally. That's kind of one of those big things that are happening. Now, speaking of local trading, oh boy, the One Canada Economy Bill. So Bill C5, it's passed the House. It passed it yesterday. Now, here's the interesting thing. This bill was really big. Like, there's a lot in it. There's kind of two parts. One part is all about removing the trade barriers across the country. The other part is about removing all of the red tape for infrastructure and getting things prioritized so that we can, get things built faster. Well, the House decided that it was so big it needed to be split into two votes. So the first half was on the interprovincial trade barriers. That passed no problem. Everyone supported it. Everyone's great. The second part, and this is what I find a little interesting. The second part, of course, was fast tracking infrastructure, removal of red tape. Well, the NDP did not support it. And the Bloc did not support it. Oh boy. But the Conservatives did. So the Liberals and the Conservatives voted together to get that part through. That, I don't know if you would have seen that if Pierre Poilievre was in the House. I know it's the Conservatives wanted this anyway. But I think just out of pure... because, if they hadn't voted against it, you would have had like a vote of non-confidence. The Liberals and the Conservatives, they voted together on a bill. So it's like, what's going on? It happened. I think that's pretty, I think it's cool. I think it's cool that they actually did. That's really, really neat. Oh man. I love that. Let's see. Bismarcky says Donnie had a bomb in his diaper. I'm not sure. Lisa says I'm near Windsor. What? That's right. I don't know why I was thinking Montreal. I don't know. I'm sorry, Lisa. That's right, because you're down towards the Stellantis plant and all of that. I got it. Oh boy. But we were talking about bills. Moving out of the trade war, we actually had another bill pass. We had a Bloc Québécois private members bill pass. This is kind of interesting. So the Bloc Québécois, they've been trying to get some dairy protections in place for, a very long time. And, they finally succeeded. If you guys remember back when Trudeau was still around, they tried to make a deal saying, look, we'll back your vote if you give us these dairy protections. Nobody would go for it. Well, Yves Francois Blanchet, he introduced the bill as a private members bill. And let's just say it's not very often that a private members bill makes it through the House. It's definitely not very often. Well, it did. It got enough votes. Now it's also made it through the Senate. It is now sitting there waiting for royal assent. Our cow bill got passed. So what exactly is the cow bill? Actually, that almost sounded like I said, what's a cowbell? This is where I should have had a sound clip of Watkins with the cowbell thing, from Saturday Night Live. But Anyway, what this bill does is it prevents foreign affairs, basically prevents the foreign affairs minister from making commitments to increase tariff-free imports of foreign dairy, poultry, or eggs when it comes to trade talks. So right now, the way it works with dairy, poultry, and eggs is that we have, well, it's called a supply. It's called a cap. It's sort of like a cap system. So the way it operates is if you buy smaller amounts, there's no tariffs. But once you hit a certain, once you hit a certain amount, then yeah, you got a lot of tariffs. A lot of tariffs come in. So it basically, it caps the amount importers can buy without facing steep tariffs, because they don't want you to bring in, like, if you think about Donald Trump talks about the Canadian, how Canada is screwing over the United States on dairy. Well, there's no tariffs on dairy until you hit the cap. Once you hit that cap, then yeah, absolutely, you get hit pretty hard with tariffs. So that's the one thing that it annoys Trump, even before all of this mess happened, nobody was ever hitting the cap. Well, I mean, you could argue that businesses aren't just going to order in a bunch of American milk or whatever, or American eggs. So, but the U.S. just does not like it. They do not like this at all. And here's the thing. When we go into trade negotiations, this was one of those things that, sort of like the DST, it was one of those things that we could actually put on the table and we could use it as a negotiation tool. Not anymore. Not anymore. So this, in essence, removes, well, dairy, poultry, and egg tariffs as negotiation tools when they iron out that trade deal. The U.S. is not going to like it, but there's nothing they can do about it. It is now, once it has royal assent, it is now the law of the land. So nothing they can do about it. It's just interesting. And of course, the Bloc, they're tickled pink. They're tickled pink. They've been trying to get this through for a long time. So, yeah, we'll have to see how that all turns out. Rory says, I'm between Saskatoon and Edmonton in the new Republic of Western Canada. Okay. Rory has already separated. They've already separated from Canada. Oh, boy. Let's see. Jay says, I've seen farmers dumping truckloads of milk when they reach their quotas. Meanwhile, we are paying over $6 a jug for milk. Awesome. I know. It's interesting. I mean, that's, to me, is something else that needs, I think, to be addressed. Like right now, we should never be dumping milk. There's enough people who can barely afford to eat. If you, in a situation like that, we really should not be dumping milk. There definitely needs to be something done about that. Why Videos says, hi, Candace. I like the new graphics for the news. I think it's better than the beavers, even if they were cute. There we go. Yeah, I mean, this here gives me a chance, other than the fact that, if my head gets itchy, I just sort of push it against his hand here, and it helps. But yeah, no, it's kind of an interesting thing. It actually, believe it or not, it takes less time to make these new ones than it does to make the beavers. So I like it. It's like, yeah, let's move away from them. I love beavers, but we're moving mostly away from the beavers. There's a couple of, in the videos, we still get the beaver and the subscribe thing. I might move away from that, but for now, that'll be like a sort of leftover beaverhood, I guess. All right. Rory, are we going to stop raising cows are we going to stop raising cows now and drink pug juice? No. No, thank you. I do not want to have any bug juice at all. Oh boy. I love it. We're slowly getting through the news, guys. Actually, we're going pretty good. We're actually doing pretty good on the news. All right. So we got some population data that dropped this week. And Q1 population data was released, and we only grew in Q1 by 20,107 people. And that, statistically, considering how big our country is, that's kind of not far off from zero growth. So things have growth has stagnated pretty darn good now, excluding the pandemic, because obviously, this slowdown tied for the slowest quarterly growth rate since records began back in 1946. Wow, that's pretty cool. Now, powering that stat, we have our temporary residents falling to 3 million, which is about 7.1% of our total population. That's down from, well, last year at this time, it was 7.4% of our population was made up of temporary residents. And once again, this is the largest drop since we started tracking population data. So obviously, this is thanks, of course, to the Fred crackdown. Yeah, Fred Flintstone. No, obviously, this is thanks to the Fed and their little crackdown on immigration. So with, of course, a housing crisis and, our social services sector stressed out beyond. It's beyond a place. It is now. So, yeah, well, they put in an international student cap. They also added foreign worker restrictions. So those were their two big tools to bring it down. And, well, according to this new data, it's working. Mission accomplished. Mission accomplished for sure. Of course, though, as always, there's always a downside. So if we keep immigration in check for too long, there can be an impact in some sectors of the economy for sure. So many of the immigrants that are coming in, and this is kind of huge, many of the immigrants are used to replace the boomers as they retire out of the workforce because we don't have the people to replace boomers. And this is huge in, well, guess which sector? Oh boy, construction. Maybe the most important sector right now in the country is construction. And they rely heavily on immigration. So just to give you an idea, so of active roofers in the country right now, 20% are immigrants. General contractors, 23%. Construction managers, 24%. And oh boy, architects, 41%. That explains why they always have an accent when you meet one in a movie. But yeah, 41% of architects are immigrants. And these numbers are going to get higher because, well, like I said, we have a huge chunk of the workforce that are heading off into retirementville, and we just don't have the people to replace them. If you guys remember, not that long ago, we had a labor shortage, and it's only gonna jump up again. It's gonna jump up again. So what can I say? All right. Tom says, I'm sorry, just started watching. Has there been any developments in the DST? If they're going ahead with it, Tom. So yeah, you just missed that story. But yeah, in a nutshell, the government is going ahead with the DST. The first bills that the tech companies are owed are due on June 30th, so about $2 billion. And they do plan to use it as part of the bargaining chip when it comes to ironing out a trade deal. So I do expect it to die in that process. But then again, sometimes I know the Liberals are very attached to it. So, but I'm hoping it is something that's used in that process. Jonathan says, honestly, I miss the beavers, but I like the graphics with transparency. Yeah, absolutely. Now, not all of them, like this one here doesn't have transparency, but, and now this one here, now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't know if you can see what I was going for in here, because there's cobwebs on the immigration desktop. So if you're on a phone, you can't see it. Like there's cobwebs going from the desk up to the computer monitor. And I went with an old school monitor because, well, you know what happens? Most of our Canadian governments are running old systems. Like if I was doing tech support for the government, I would not be shocked to have to refresh on my Windows 95 again. I would not be surprised. Oh boy. Hopefully there's none with Windows like 3.1 back in basically Windows 3.1 was just simply a GUI placed on top of DOS. So what can I say? Rory says maybe rehire and the unjabbed healthcare staff again. I didn't think that was still an issue though, Rory. I thought everybody was back now. Um, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought that was like, because I haven't heard anything about that anymore. Let's see. Rory says, "Is that an Apple IIe?" I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think so. Bismarck, he says, "I miss Windows 95." Really? Here's the real answer. You're not missing Windows 95. You're missing being young. Not to say that you're old, but you're missing being younger back in the 95 days. I mean, that would be like yeah, yeah. I don't know. I kind of like the system I have right now, but 95, I will give one thing for Microsoft. 95 was pretty stable. It was definitely very, very stable. 98, well, 98, I personally, I actually, at that time, I went with Windows 2000 just because it was a lot more stable. Because I think 98 was running on a FAT system, and Windows 2000 was on an NFTS. But it was more stable. I was okay with XP. ME, no, ME was not really a good operating system. I think even up to Windows 10 was good. I don't know anything after Windows 10 because I've been fully Mac since then, so no idea. Jack says just loaded up on some Litecoin today. Yeah, how much was Litecoin down? I don't know. Heck, let's take a look. I'll see if I can see it. I have to know where it is in here. Litecoin. I'm not seeing it. See, come on, guys. BTCH. I thought it would have been up near towards the top. There's a link. Yeah, I'm not sure how much it's down. Oh well, that's too bad. But yeah, look at that smart down 30%. Not a coin that I would be down. I would be down on it all. But yeah, well, Ethereum seems to be making a little bit of a bounce back. A little bit of a bounce back. What can I say? All right. Jack says I miss Windows 7. Let's see. Win 11 or higher should be a form of Borg Windows. Resistance is futile. Try to use anything else. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the one sacrifice with with a Mac system is that, there are, there's some games, for example, that I might want to play. Like one of my guilty pleasures is I like to build cities. So there's a game called City Skylines, and they just come up with a City Skylines 2. I don't have two because they didn't make it for the Mac. They made the first one for the Mac, but they did not make the second one for the Mac. So, but then again, I mean, it still runs fine. So it's not like I need the new shiny version, but it just annoys me that sometimes it isn't there. Now you can run simulators on the Mac. So for example, you can run a simulator to sort of create an environment, a Windows environment. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So if they don't make it for the Mac, I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'll just leave it there. All right. Okay, it's only down 2.5%. Okay. Jay says I switched to Linux after Windows XP. Why pay since not the secured OS? Okay, yeah. I've known a few people who've used Linux. The Penguin is kind of nice, but I've never really tried Linux. I will admit. Vic says Civilization. Civilization is good. Now I have my latest version. I don't have the new one. I've got Civilization 6. And it's kind of interesting. Like I loved Civilization up to 5. And when 6 first came out, I hated it. I hated 6 with a passion. But I've learned to like it. I've actually like it now. And I've heard a lot of people complain about Civ 7. I think the whole thing with Civ 7 is you can't own the same civilization all the way through. You got to switch up at points in the game. So I don't know. Maybe Civ 6 is as best as it gets. I don't know. Now I do know that Civ 7 I can play on the Mac, but right now I'm not really interested in it. Let's see. Informant. Aside from thoughts on computer operating system, thoughts on CNR, Canadian National Railway. All right, I love that stock. So CNR is one of my favorites. They are, of course, part of the Canadian supply backbone. That's fantastic. That means that even if we have a bad year, and last year was a bad year between wildfires and all kinds of strike stuff, oh boy, that hurt them big time, but they're always going to come back. And that's one of the things I love is when they do have bad times, I'm in there to buy a share or two, just to grab some more. So yeah, I do love them. I like CP2. Like I think short term CP might do a little better, but I think long term you can't really beat CNR. Now, one of the things too that's going to really help Canadian National Railway is as we put more stress on getting minerals out of the ground. Well, a lot of those minerals are in places in Canada that CP doesn't go, but CNR does. So CNR will be the ones, they'll be the ones transporting a lot of these minerals as we get them out of the ground. So that, of course, now keep in mind, all of this new infrastructure stuff, it's going to take a couple of years before these mines are, at the point that they'll need CNR. Well, maybe to get stuff up there, but that it looks good for CNR on the mid to long term, of course. So I do like CNR, absolutely. Let's see. Oh, Jack says they dropped the ball on Civ 7. There we go. That's what I was thinking. Rory says, I have CNR2, but not selling. Strong moat. Only Union Pacific could buy them out, in my opinion. Yeah, Union Pacific. Well, I believe between I think Union Pacific and CNR are like 1-2, as in the largest in the world. I'm trying to think. I don't know which one is 1 and which one is 2. I just know they're both at the top. I think Union Pacific might be a slightly bigger than CNR, but maybe not. The more I think about it, I think CNR might actually be on top of Union Pacific. Anyway, I'll leave that be. What do you think about let's see, Alpha Petro performance lately? All right. Let's take a look. Let's take a look here. All right, ALV. I think they're doing fine, but it's always good to take a gander. So here we go. Alvo Petro Energy right here. All right, now keep in mind they're in the energy sector. This is a sector that, depending on what happens, if that Gulf of Hormuz gets shut down, the Strait of Hormuz, they'll benefit. They will definitely benefit. Now, they've got a pretty huge dividend here. So you'll notice here 7.9% quarterly dividend, 10 cents USD. Oh, if it was $10, I'd be moving everything into ALV right away. All right, let me just pull up here. I'm going to pull up their 3 years. So as you can see, they had, they were doing good, just like most of oil, but like that sector, this has happened to a lot of companies in there. A lot of companies have experienced this, but now they are starting to rebound. I do like them. Overall. Now, let's come in here. This is one of the other things I love. Look at this, 9% debt to equity. That's fantastic. Their return on equity is also above 20, and you guys know I love it when it's above 20. So that is absolutely fantastic. So 20.42%. Holy banana bread. And look at this, return on assets up there too. So I think this is a good company. I do like them. I absolutely like them. I think I had them briefly in the challenge. Interestingly enough, let's go back here for a second. When you look at, let's just put this here. When you look at this, I had them. I think I got them in the challenge somewhere down here, rode them up. I could see the writing on the wall for oil, so I got out. And but I think they're ripe. They're definitely ripe to be back in the challenge for sure. Gotta love it. All right. Now I'm going to very quickly jump ahead here. We got a goat. We got a goat in the house. So Kevin Cass has dropped a super fantastic. That of course makes her the goat. Love it. I love the goat. I love the goat. I need more goats. I need more goats. All right. Now we're going to jump back to Bismarcky. Okay, so Evolve has a crypto ETF, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and XRP. Going to buy $5 every day in my RSP. See where we are a year from now. Not bad. Not bad. I do like that. BNSF is number 2. I have a feeling you're not giving me a ticker, but I have a feeling it's just, I think it's going over my head for some reason, or I'm just not thinking here. Yes, it's not. It's not a ticker. BNSF. BNSF. Is that a railroad? Is there another railroad in there? Because I was thinking of Union Pacific and CNR being at the top, but BNSF. All right, now I'm gonna have to look. I'm gonna have to look this up after the show. It's like, okay, let's get my top, because I looked it up a long time ago when I was making a video. So yeah, some of the numbers may have changed now. Let's see here. Vic says RBC Direct Investing dropped trading charges on 50 ETF. I heard this. I mean, it's good. I mean, I look at it this way. I believe it's Scotiabank. So the I trade with Scotiabank. They don't charge commissions on ETFs, which is great. So, I mean, if you're just an ETF investor, that gives you a lot more commission-free options, because then you don't have to worry about, commissions. So that's not too shabby. All right. Let's see. Do you think technology will go down this coming week? I think everything's going to go down, other than some stocks. Other than I think tomorrow we'll see red across the board, except for oil and gold. So I'm thinking we're going to see a lot of red tomorrow. But will technology? They'll go down. They'll recover through the week. They'll definitely recover through the week. Now, mind you, tomorrow could be an interesting day as well. The whole robo thing with Tesla. Tesla is going to be hard to call. Tesla will be hard to call, but we'll have to see. All right. Preach Rory. All right. Let's see. Burgers says Hormuz straight block still long. UCO 2X crude ETF and bear ETFs. Let's go. Yeah, absolutely. Secret account mystery man. You're not a secret. I know who you are, but if you don't want everybody else to know who you are, I'll leave it at that. I think they'll figure out who you are, though. I think they'll figure it out. Rory says Berkshire Hathaway owns Burlington Northern Santa Fe. Okay, there we are. Burlington Northern Santa Fe. Okay, they're number 2. Nice. All right, now I need to look at the leaderboard. I need to look at the leaderboard again. Yeah, let's see. Berkshire Energy, Greg Abel under Berkshire. Yes, Greg Abel. He's a Canadian. Have to point that out. Gotta love Greg Abel. All right. We actually have 2 more news stories. We'll get the next one out of the way. We did get a home sales update. So May 2025. We've seen our first national housing market rebound in about 6+ months. So home sales were up 3.6% versus April. New listings were up 3.1%. Prices overall, they stopped falling nationally. Home price index flat month over month. The national average sale price is still 1.8% lower than May. And we're talking May of 2024. So going back the previous year. So some of the initial weakness towards the beginning of this year were basically tied to the fears of the trade war and, of course, all of the economic uncertainty that comes with that. And that may have delayed that expected spring housing recovery, which is something I've been kind of talking about. One of the reasons that I've been bullish on REITs is that I've been expecting this market should be exploding. And it looks like we're finally starting to get some movement. So momentum in three key markets actually have experienced some pretty good momentum in Canada. So, of course, Toronto, Calgary, and the third one, and I know in your mind you're thinking it's got to be Vancouver. Nope, Ottawa. Ottawa is in there as well. So that's pretty cool for Ottawa. I love it. Now, basically, in a nutshell, so the tariff concerns, interest rate uncertainty, that did sideline a whole bunch of buyers earlier in the year. Now they're starting to, now they're starting to step back in as it looks like the rates are staying steady for a bit, though. I wouldn't be surprised to see a rate cut next time. I'm kind of leaning towards one, depending on what happens with the economy. But I'm thinking that if we have a chance, it's coming up at the next meeting. Let's see. The market, of course, is still considered much cooler than it was last year, but there's a lot of cautious optimism for a strong summer season. So that's going to be cool. Whew. Now, according to the Canadian Real Estate Authority, they have an outlook out there saying buyer and seller activity in May is looking like it's going to carry into June. So they're expecting the strength to remain. And local factors will, of course, affect different places, of course, across the country, all of that fun stuff. And of course, for buyers and sellers, it's always important to know your personal, your area's real estate, because sometimes you can get little idiosyncrasies in different part of the country. So that's not too shabby to know about. Not too shabby to know about at all. All right. And actually, that was the last story. I was thinking that there was another one, but no, that was it. That was it. Why? Oh, you know why it is. I was looking at these, and I added this one because of the new story about the war. So I added it at the end instead of the beginning. Hence the reason that it was showing up. But yeah, that is the news. A couple last tiny things coming up this coming week. On Tuesday, we do have our CPI dropping in Canada, and that's going to certainly play a role in the July rate decision. On Friday of the week, we are going to have our April GDP drop. In the U.S., the only really big thing coming up this week is the PCE report. So the personal consumer expenditures, that's coming out on Friday. In earnings-wise, up here, Alimentation Couche-Tard, they're coming out, and BlackBerry. Those are the big ones in Canada. Not a lot of earnings dropping in the United States. I think the big one is like Kroger. So, yeah, that's the news. The news is done. It's now all you guys. It's all you guys. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. All right. Let's get rid of that the B2. We'll get rid of the B2. And instead, we'll have some burgers. So let's see. Here, housing prices are falling. Everyone who bought houses are negative equity or close. Soon the despair will come. $ASPS eviction company up 98%. Still expect 18x from here. Yeah. I mean, we're still going to see, as you got to keep in mind, there's a couple of things happening here. One of the other things happening here is we have a mortgage renewal wave. We're in the beginnings of it. Well, not the beginnings. We're kind of at the beginning of the middle. That would be the best place to call it. So right now we're getting the people who got basically sub 3% mortgages. Those are the people who are renewing this year. And oh boy, that's going to be interesting, because a lot of them are people who could not have passed a stress test because, our stress tests weren't that good just back in the pandemic. So as a result, we get a lot of people who are going to lose houses. So, foreclosures, things like that, they're going to go up here. Even with housing prices going up, it doesn't really matter. There's a lot of people who are just absolutely over leveraged. Right across the board. It's not going to be the best time for some people. And that's one of the reasons that all of the banks have been they've been stacking aside cash like crazy for those loan loss provisions. What can I say? Muggsy says, with so much uncertainty, I'd be afraid to buy a house. Yeah, I can understand that. Rory's afraid of buying a shipping container. Yeah. Well, if I ever wanted to turn a shipping container into a house, I'd buy 2 shipping containers and like weld them together or something and cut like a couple of doors out of it just to give you 2 shipping containers, I guess. Lord of the Ostriches is in the house. Let's see. Now the time for defense stock. Bombardier, MDA, SCHL. Love your videos. Thank you. Yeah, no, I think defense stocks. And here's that thing. I know in the community there are some people who are like, I will not buy a stock that, or a company that makes war stuff. And that's it's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with having a conviction, or having lines that you don't want to cross. Nothing wrong with that at all. These are going to be things that will make money. Now there are similar stocks out there that as well that, are more defense related, but yeah, for the most part, if you have a problem with, ethically, if you have a problem with a stock like this, don't worry. There's tons of things that you can be investing in instead, like oil and gold. those are a couple of good ones for sure. And then of course, if you're just looking to defend what you got, that's where we got defensive stocks that are not as in defense sector, as in defending your portfolio. So those, of course, would be, your utilities, your consumer staples, things like that. So yeah, definitely. Andrew says, everyone hit the like button. All right. Yeah, I'll have a cup of coffee here. I'll have a sip of coffee while you guys all hit that like button. So Andrew says 47 people. I think right now we're at about 50. I don't know how many likes we have. I got no clue at all. But you guys can tell. And I see Mary's getting annoyed. Uh-oh. Yeah, guys, keep Mary happy. Keep Mary happy. All right. Michael says, hello, Candace. I am divided as to whether I should sell some of my Tamarack purchased at under $4 or to keep all my position for its monthly dividends. Any thought? Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Let me pull this up here. All right. I have not looked at Tamarack in like forever. All right. Now, do I even have? Oh, here we go. This will be fun. This is going to be fun. All right. There we go. Here we go. Tamarack. It's selling it is the sorry. Spelling it, not selling. Spelling it is always the thing. Tamarack Energy. So here's this thing. Let's just look at the last year. You can see they have the same little bit of struggles, but they're having that big rebound right now. And yeah, you bought in at $4, so somewhere's in here. This is not bad. I mean, this is a nice little profit. Will it go higher? It may. It may. Now, here's the thing about something like this. You do have the dividend's not bad, 3.042% monthly dividend. So you got a little bit of money coming. I think if everything continues, so if we get a closure in the Strait of Hormuz, this is probably going to go higher. With that being said, there's still risk. I mean, we could, Iran could come out tomorrow and say, we're not closing the Strait. We'll agree to the US's terms. We just want peace. That could happen. It probably won't. But if it did, you could see this come back down. So it's one of those things that you have to sort of weigh the geopolitical, I guess we'll call it the geopolitical options and what you believe the probability is and what you're comfortable with. Now, also keep in mind, here's a really good point, Michael. Sometimes when you're stuck in a position like this, let's say you had 1,000 shares. Let's say you put in 1,000 and you're like, okay, it's up a whole dollar. That's $1,000 I've just made, but it could go higher. Well, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing. So one thing you could do is if you're uncertain, you could say, well, you know what? Let's take some of the profit off the table. So you could take, instead of 1,000, instead of selling your whole position, you could always just sell half. That way there, you've got your 500. And then you can sort of see if if it continues to go up. And then if it continues to go up, yeah, fantastic. This is really, really good. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens at that point. All right. Good time to DCA, absolutely. A Canadian aerospace company that isn't defensive, Exchange Income Corp. Okay, there we go. So there we go, Exchange Income Corp. That could be very interesting. All right, we got a super chat in from Y Video. So first of all, that makes them the new goat. We got another goat. Well, I mean, technically, everybody's the goat. If you're in here, you're the goat. They're all goats. Everybody's, yeah. All right, so let's see. A little constructive suggestion. When you look at American stocks for a viewer, please skip TMX Money Site. It's often a big mess, and sometimes the viewer doesn't have the expected insight from you. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think a lot of times I'm going in and I don't know it's an American stock. If someone throws a ticker at me that I've never heard before, it could be American. But I find like with the big ones, it's fine. So, like for example, if I go into I'll look at NVIDIA or something like that. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, a lot of times with American stocks, like I gotta head to something like Yahoo Finance or something. But yeah, no, absolutely. If it's American stock, I will, you know what? I'll keep a Yahoo Finance up. And if it's an American stock, we'll head over there. I can do that. Yeah, that sounds fantastic. All right. Andrew says, good time to buy Dollarama. Yeah, so I've heard a couple people sort of reached out and said, oh my God, Dollarama is buying 400 stores over in Australia. Well, yes, we knew that. We actually covered that on the news on this show. Oh gosh, it was a while back. But it's what Dollarama does. So when I look at Dollarama, they've been very, very successful with their business model. And the chain store that they bought out there, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but they've been kind of struggling. So they're actually bringing their model over to change these stores. Now, my understanding is they're not going to become Dollaramas. Dollarama will own them, but they're going to maintain the brand that's already known over in Australia. But no, this is a big thing for them. Like I think Dollarama is one of those stocks that they're just going to continue to do well. And I know. And let me show you here. Let me show you. This is fan. Let me show. This is funny. If we pull up Dollarama, all right, and let's go to the 3-year on Dollarama. Here's this question I've gotten on the channel. This is a question I've gotten a lot on the channel. So back around here, I've had people say, oh, Dollarama is at an all-time high. It's due to go down. I'm not getting involved with them. I'll be like, okay, fair enough. Well, then around here, yeah, Dollarama's at all-time highs. It can't keep going. Over here, Dollarama's at all-time highs. I gotta get out. They're gonna crash. I get this all the way. Now, yes, you can get retractions. Yes, you can get corrections. And look here. If you had said that to me here, then right about here, you'd be saying, see, I told you so. Mind you, a month later, it's kind of that thing. You will get some retractions, but overall, they're running their business well. They're expanding well. It's going very well. They've got good fundamentals when it comes to their growth and what they're doing. And that's just something to keep in mind with Dollarama. So yeah, to me, it's always Dollarama is just one of these stocks that dollar cost averaging is probably the best way to go with them. All right. A Life's Adventures says, yes, EIFE Exchange Income Corporation looks good. That's right. That's the defensive one, right? I like it. Michael says, many thanks for your suggestion. I think I will trim some of my position if it spikes due to geopolitical tensions. Yeah, absolutely. All right. And Andrew says, I just sold EIF to buy GSY. I hope it does okay in this environment. So GSY, that's go easy, go easy. So yeah, interesting. I mean, so far they have been doing really well. Actually, let's pull up go easy. GSY, here we go. Look at this. Let me just pull up the 3-year. So yeah, they've been doing well. Now they have retraced a little bit, but if we go to the 5-year, you can sort of see they're still doing. I still think they're still doing okay, and they are starting to recover a bit. Is it a stock that I invest in? I don't. I will be very upfront with that. But I think they're going to be fine because if you take a look here, so you can see they provide financial services to own stuff. I think where we're in a situation where money is so tight, unfortunately, a lot of people say, oh, buy now, pay later. Let's do it. Let's get on board. And that's why companies like GSY make a lot of money, because people always tend to do that. Instead of sort of looking at, if you can't afford to buy a coach today, do you really want to pay for a coach and a half or maybe 2 coaches by the time you paid off all the interest on it? So just something to keep in mind. And there's a lot of people that are like that. The people, and I can understand, you know what, if you have absolutely, if you just don't have the money and you need a coach, I can understand the allure to it. But honestly, if I was in that situation, I would be more inclined to see, is there any kind of a temporary solution? Like, and the funny thing is we're using coaches as example. Coaches, I was going to say, see if I can find a cheap used one to hold me over till I could afford it. The only problem with something like that is, well, sometimes you get passengers when you buy stuff like that from people. As long as you inspect it really, really well, I guess. But nonetheless, but yeah, that's just why I think GSY is going to do well, because I think people are going to be struggling financially for a while, and that's going to tie right into their customer base. All right. Now, FFH, whole life's adventures. Yeah, FFH, I actually did a deep dive on them. So this here is Fairfax Financial, FFH. Here we go. Now, they have been doing well. Let's pull this up, and you can see this is a little bit of a rocket ship. No, they have been absolutely doing really, 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 really well. I love them. They're expensive. They're very expensive. So one share is $2,426. So this is where something like Wealth Simple comes in, because you can get fractional shares if that's outside of what you're looking for. But they're fantastic. I mean, they've been just absolutely exploding. So yeah, gotta love them. Gotta love them. And yeah, Andrew's saying a powerhouse play. Absolutely. Terry says, just stumbled in. Hi. Shh. Carry on, Canadian. Sorry here. Apologies all around on the house. Woohoo. All right. We got it. GSY fundamentals at the moment are fire. Yeah, I mean, let's just go back 1 second. If I remember correctly, I believe they've got really low debt. Actually, they should have higher debt. But let's see here. Yeah, they do. There we go. 339%. And that's the reason that they have high debt, is because they're in that lending thing. So everything they lend, that's considered, it's considered debt. Well, not so much, but they buy a lot of debt. They hold a lot of debt. It's kind of what they do. But the return on equity, it's above 20%. So 21.86, not too shabby. And they've been doing really well. I mean, just look at, give me 1 second here. Let's pull up their, all right, like right here, earnings per share. Look at this, 15.45. So they got a lot of cash. They got a lot of cash coming in, and they have been doing well. They're very often topping the charts when it comes to if a lot of your brokers will provide with you a chart to show you who the hot stocks are on the day, and often I see GSY in that list. All right, Google is going to go to the moon if we get a recession. Tons of people will lose their home, keep their phone plan with data, and watch YouTube, become YouTubers. Gemini's the best. Waymo, Cloud, Quantum. Yeah, Google has to, I think Google is going to be very interesting. When we look at AI, this is kind of cutting into Google quite a bit. Now, this is one of the reasons that Google is really, really pushing on AI, trying to do everything they can to sort of dethrone ChatGPT, because, a lot of people go to ChatGPT to get their answers instead of going to Google. So with Google and Claude, that's one of the reasons that Google's been really, really pushing it, and they're making some huge strides. So, it's going to be very interesting to see who wins that AI race between the two of them. And I know Google's been upset with a few things. Like, I think the fact that Apple has that relationship with ChatGPT, that's been kind of annoying them. On top of that, Google also has, they also have some, some sort of anti-monopoly stuff going on where, some of the U.S. government agencies want to actually split Chrome away from Google. So we'll have to see how that's all going to end up. But I don't know if a lot of here's the thing. Well, the problem is, here's a problem with this, Jack. If all these people lose their jobs and they all decide, let's just go be YouTubers, it's gonna flood YouTube with a lot of interesting stuff for sure. Keep in mind, a lot of these people are probably going to be, some of them will be taking the easy route where it's like, hey, AI, make me a video about cows or something, whatever their channel's about. Yeah, cows. I don't know. All right, let's see here. Let's see. And with their TPU infrastructure, even OpenAI is buying Google Cloud space for ChatGPT and framing it like a partnership. Yeah, no, Google's still in good shape. But like I said, right now they're in competition with OpenAI for many reasons, even if they're providing some cloud services to them as well. Jack says, if the youth lose their homes and can't play Grand Theft Auto 6, they will make the streets Grand Theft Auto 6. I hope not. Probably. I think that already happens in some communities in Canada. Trying to think of a community with really bad drivers. Truro, Nova Scotia, maybe. I hope there's nobody here but from Truro that's like going, how dare you compare our streets to Grand Theft Auto? But then they probably think about it and then say, oh yeah, you're probably right. So, there's a few places in Canada with some bad driving for sure. Jack says all of BC. There we go. Yeah, it's actually interesting. Like, yeah, I think there are. Well, problem with BC, one of the problems I noticed, at least when I lived in Vancouver, is, as you guys know, there's that reputation in BC that you get a lot of rain. Well, what you don't know is that rain, most of it doesn't happen in the summer. For the most part, you normally get a pretty warm summer, and then you get all of the rain in the fall and the winter. But one of the issues I always noticed is that there'd be a lot of road accidents when that first big rainfall in the fall would come, because it was all of that water would kind of help sort of loosen up some of the oil from a summer of driving, making the roads a little bit more slick. And some drivers would forget what it was like, and yeah, they'd have some issues. There'd be a lot of fender benders during that first rainfall. Bismarcky says Brampton, Ontario has terrible drivers. Okay. And in all fairness, I don't know if I've been to Brampton. I don't think I have, but all right. Yeah. What can I say? Gotta love it. That's for sure. Brampton. Oh boy. All right. One thing I wanted to mention. I am going to be putting up a vote soon for the channel members to vote for what the last video of the month is, because the channel members get to decide it, but the list comes from everybody else. So if you have a video idea, whether it be a deep dive I'm not going to be a deep dive, I want me to do, Or perhaps it's a list video that you want to see, or maybe it's a tutorial like, hey, I want a video on this. Drop it in the comments, not of this, but just go into the if you go to the community tab. Oh, I want to talk about the community tab again after this. If you go to the community tab, there's a post in there. Honestly, if you did just throw it in the comments here, I'll still grab it. I'm going to pull them all together and I'll get it. I probably want to have something up for the channel members to vote tomorrow, because I gotta script this thing on Wednesday. So need to get that going ASAP. Yeah, so anyway, in addition to that, there is a new feature on YouTube. So if you go to the community tab, there is supposed to be an option in there for you to make posts. So users can make posts now on the community tab. So, hey, feel free if you want to go in there and make a post, feel free to do so. I haven't yet seen how it works. I know it's there because I turned it on. I noticed it in my settings the other day, so I turned it on. So who will be the first to go into the community tab and make a post? So the only thing I would ask, guys, is if you do, just, follow the normal rules. Just be respectful and, no profanity or anything like that. Actually, I think if you swear, YouTube will pretty much delete you anyway. That does sometimes happen. Like, it's funny. And let me throw this out there as well, because I haven't mentioned this in a while. If you leave a message and I don't reply on a video, chances are, because I reply to everything, chances are YouTube didn't like something in your message. And what it will do is, well, one, it'll normally throw it into depending on what you said, it'll throw it into a section where I can look at it later. And I usually check that section every couple of days. So sometimes I think somebody actually had left, I think it was Jack. I think it was you, Jack. I think I saw 2 of yours ended up in that the other day. And I was like, oh, these are both 3 days old. But yeah, so I approved those and I was able to go back and reply because of it. But sometimes YouTube will delete it completely, and I have no clue. I can't even, I can't reply. I can't tell you that YouTube deleted what you said. So sometimes what will do it is, if you put a dot in there, like for example, if you wanted me to look at canoe.eit for some reason, they'll see that dot and they'll think you're trying to send it to a web address. So it'll be like, oh, that's a website. You're not allowed to post websites. So it might delete you for that, or throw you into hopefully it throws you into the, into the penalty box. We'll call it the penalty box. Hopefully that's where you go, because then I can usually get you out of that. But yeah, just, if I don't reply, that's probably why, because I will, even if you didn't even ask me a question, I will at the very least, come in and say thank you, or just, just something basic. All right. Michael says, hello again, Candace. Did you get the chance to research the new acquisition of Diversified as well as its dividend increase I alerted you to a few days ago? The answer is yes. Yes. So this Chuba, sorry, what is it again? Chuba. Oh my God, my mind went blank. But this company. So basically they bought Chuba. Oh, what the heck? I can't remember the last part of it. Anyway, they bought this company, Chuba something, in the United States. Well, they didn't really buy it. They bought the copyright, and then they leased it back to Chuba Inu or whatever it is, and they leased it back to them. So they're getting a couple of $1 million a year, and they're doing nothing. That's because they purchased the copyright. They're getting a couple $1 million a year from this U.S. company, and it has helped their cash flow quite a bit. So yes, Chuba Hut. There we go. I saw Rory there say Chuba Hut. That's exactly it. Chuba Hut. And so yeah, so they're getting $2 million a year because of it. Now that is going to greatly improve their their cash flow. And while I'm talking about it, we probably should have them up. Let me just bring up Div for a second here. Here we go. And you'll see, this is what happens. Chuba Hut. It was a Chuba Hut jump, and they've been slowly crawling up since. That's not too shabby. Now, I had mentioned before I had a chance to look at them, I had mentioned, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to, actually, let's go to the 5 year. I had mentioned before that I thought that, they would go up, come back down, because this normally right about here, right around the 280, tends to be kind of that mean that they tend to be at. But I'm thinking the mean's going to go higher. I think it's going to move up, probably up to about 3. I think somewhere's in that. I think towards the top of that will be their new bottom area. For the fact that they got a whole bunch of extra cash flow coming in, it's exciting. Investors are liking it, and yes, they are raising their dividend. Now we don't know fully. Well, you could probably work it out. Now, in the past, their dividend was 2.1 cents per share. Now, this is not an expensive stock. So 2.1 cents per share. I believe before they were doing about 25 cents a year. Well, that's going up to roughly 27 cents. So this is probably going to be either 2.2 or 2.3 cents a share. It is going up. So yeah, absolutely. It's cool. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So yeah, it's going up. All right, Lord says, if they make a Grand Theft Auto movie, they'll film it in Hamilton, Ontario. Oh, gosh. Maybe. Funny story. Lord Ostrich, funny story. So I was living in Kelowna, and I was gonna, I was finishing up there, and I was like, all right, I need to move east. And I was thinking of moving to Ontario, and I knew somebody in Hamilton. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to move to Hamilton. So I moved to Hamilton. And this was before they really cleaned it up. So everything was just so dirty. I was just like, I can't live here. I can't live here. I was there a month. And I was just like, no, this is not for me. It's too dirty. So at that point, I knew somebody in Ottawa, and I knew somebody in Windsor. I was kind of like, I don't know which one to go to. So I flipped a coin. I flipped a coin. Ottawa won the coin toss, and that was when I first ever moved to Ottawa. So it was all by a coin toss. So what can I say? But if that coin had gone the other way, it would have been Windsor. So, and you never know. I might have been broadcasting out of Windsor today instead of Ottawa, if that was a situation. Now, mind you, I have left Ottawa since then. But nonetheless, Ottawa's sort of become that second home. And I say a second home, even though I live here, because, if you're from the Maritimes, that's always your first home, no matter what. So what can I say? All right, Jack says, let's see, with Surrey, probably my name. Maybe, I'm not sure. That I don't know. I don't know what did it. All right, and there. Okay, let's see. Candace, did you look at Parkland to be acquired by Cineco? Would you take cash or shares of the new company? If we take cash, it would be 44 per share. That is always an interesting thing when there's a takeover. Normally, what I will do is I will, if I'm in early enough, a lot of times when they announce this takeover bid, a lot of times the share will spike, and usually a lot of times it will spike actually above, like in this case 44. Sometimes it'll spike above it initially. Sometimes, if it does that, it's a no-brainer. I sell. That's what I did with Shaw Communications. I was actually sitting at my computer the morning that Rogers announced they were buying them. And I just I watched them open well above, quite a ways above what they were going to be bought for, and I was just like, "Yeah, no problem." And I just sold right away, took a nice profit, and never looked back. So yeah, I kind of look at it that way. Now, here's the other thing too: when we're looking at these, because of what's happening politically, these prices could still be going up. So there is a good chance that you may get that opportunity before all is said and done to buy this above $44, to sell above $44. So that's kind of what I would do. Even if it was a matter of, just sort of paying attention. And Worst case, and look at this. This is your worst case scenario. If it doesn't go above $44 by the time this closes, and I don't know what the closing date on this is, you're going to get that $44. But there could be some opportunity. So I think what I would do, and this is what I would do, you got to decide what you would do, is I would probably watch it while the tensions in the Middle East continue ramping up. And if it looks like things are going to, peter out, if we're above 44, I'm going to sell it at that point. No no ands, ifs, or buts about it. But yeah, it's just kind of how I would approach it. Rory says an oil company that really hasn't been mentioned much was Gibson's Energy. Haven't looked at that one for a long time. Yeah, I haven't either. Let's go. Here we go. GEI. All right, here we go. So good old Gibson's Energy. We can see a little bit of movement here, but they've got a pretty high dividend. So, we're talking 7.143%. Now, this one is a quarterly dividend. Now, let's just go. Well, actually, let's quickly take a look back here. And you can see that was kind of like the whole sector was doing this. So they're pretty much following what the sector's doing. I like that. Here's my big thing. And let's get down here. All right. Ooh, this is high. This is a little bit high. So this is a 278% debt to equity ratio. That would be my biggest concern right now. Now, not to say it would be a deal breaker, but it would make me say, I need to find out why it's that high. Because after the last bull session in energy, most of the energy companies paid off most of their debt. So for any energy company to be above 100% debt to equity, it makes me go, and I would want to know why. Now, if the reason they did this was all around expansion and it looks like it's good debt, sure, I might be able to go a little bit further. But this worries me a little bit. This does worry me a little bit. And I want to we'll look at one more thing here. Let's just go to Simply for a second. I'm not going to pull up the full thing, but I want to take a look at their just on their front page for GEI. I'm kind of curious about something here. GEI. Here we go. Gibson Energy. All right. So let's see here. Okay. So they're saying that their earnings are forecast to grow. That could be good. That could be good. I'm still worried a little bit about the debt. And as you can see here, interest payments are not well covered by their earnings. So that's the situation that they're in right now. And that dividend is unsustainable. So I have a feeling, and let's go to Yahoo Finance for this. I have a feeling they've got a pretty high a payout ratio. Let's see, GEI.TO. Here we go. Gibson Energy. All right. Well, we have to go to statistics to see their payout ratio. All right. Here we go. So let's see here. Yeah, look at this, 169.39%. So that's not good. And other thing I'm kind of interested in here is we'll go to the front page and we're going to take a look down here and take a look at a couple things here. Their profit margin is small, very small, 1.44%. Now the return on equity is not bad though, 17.11%. So that's not too shabby, but I'll tell you this 280% here, total debt to equity ratio, that does have me a little bit concerned for sure. So I would be careful with this one. I would do research. I would definitely go research for sure. All right, thank you. Let's see. Gibson's might go the way of Superior Propane, where they cut the div. Bad debt management. The CEO of Superior went to Gibson, so ain't biting on that one. Okay, good. Good. I'm glad I didn't have to convince you any further on that one. Now, I will say cutting their dividend would be a good thing for the company. Cut your dividend, work on the debt, work on restructuring, maybe get some efficiencies, cut costs, maybe in the future. Now, mind you, if they cut that dividend too, they're going to lose some investors. Some investors will sell. I mean, there's no way around it. That's just something that will happen for sure if they cut that dividend. What can I say? It's the way it is. It is the way it is. What can I say? All right, guys, we're getting towards the end. We're not at the end, but we're getting there. So if you got your last minute questions, get them on into the chat. I'm going to have some coffee while you guys do that. So we'll see how things go. Oh gosh, so good. So good. All right. So yeah, our next video, we're actually going back to the income stocks. We're going to look at, and this is the Tuesday video. Now, if you're a channel member, you get to see it tomorrow. But we will be looking at ETFs, income ETFs that have stayed above water when it comes to their share price, but have dividends north of 10%. So that's going to be our big video coming out. And then, of course, after that, we got, of course, the channel members video that's coming out on Friday or Thursday if you're a channel member. And then as we head into, I think that's the end of the month, isn't it? Or no, there's another week. Is there another? No, there's not another week. Yeah, it's the end of the month. So yeah, we have one last video next week because I am taking Canada Day off. Jill wants to do some stuff, so we're taking Canada Day off this year. But the next video after, after the channel members choice one is going to be the 0 to 100K. We'll get that going up for you, and then after that, I don't know where we're going, but we'll figure that out. Now we are still going to have. We will still have a show here on next Sunday, which is the night before Canada Day. So none of the live streams were impacted. We're just one video less next week. That's it. You guys will survive, I'm sure. It's fun. It's fun. All right. Well, guys, I'm not seeing any more questions in here. So, all right, we'll call it today. It's wherever you are. Enjoy the weather. This is the first weekend of summer too. So enjoy your heat, or if you're Rory, enjoy your reasonable coolish temperatures. And we'll be back here on Wednesday. I do want to, before the end of this month though, I do want to sneak in a market open. So I don't think it won't be tomorrow, but maybe Tuesday. I will, if I'm going to do it on Tuesday, I'll actually create it Monday night. That way there, you guys will know what's going to happen. So we might do a market open on Tuesday. It'll either be Tuesday. Actually, you know what? Tuesday's the best day. You know what? Let's just say it. We'll call it. There'll be a market open on Tuesday, and we'll do our normal market close on Wednesday. So there we go. Market open Tuesday. Be there. Basically, that means that we will start that stream 15 minutes before the market opens. So what is that? 9:15 on Tuesday morning Eastern. We'll be here for the market open. Can't wait. I love those. What's really nice is that some people who can't make it to the market closes can make it to the market open. So there are a few people I know in the community that are like, oh my God, one of these, I love it. So, all right, we will be doing that. All right, guys, until then, enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you guys all for coming. And before we leave, a huge shout out for Kiev and Kaz and Y Videos for a pair of generous supers. All right, we'll see you guys. We'll see you Tuesday. All right, take care.